do you want from me? I'm just blood and flesh and bones. I'm not an answer.
Welcome to Mildly Entertaining, the show where the Office of Military Affairs at UNCW keeps you mildly entertained and more or less up to date on what's going on at UNCW. Your hosts are Joanna DeMott, the Military Liaison and Program Coordinator, and Melanie Nelson, the Military Student Services Specialist. Hey Joanna, how are you today?
I'm great. I'm great today. It's a great day. How are you today, Melanie?
It's not worth asking you. I should really just dispense with the pleasantries altogether and just launch into my tirade of how my day is going. I'm kidding. I'm fine. I'm fine. It's a fine day.
Yeah. Fine. Some people think that's an acronym for something else, but I'll keep that to myself. I'm so excited that we have Lori Dugan on today. She's social work lecturer and assistant field education director in the College of Health and Human Services here at UNCW. How are you today, Lori?
I'm at home with my husband, who is a middle school teacher, and my 3 kids and our dog. So it is vastly different than the social work suite at UNCW.
Absolutely. That is quite different. I know everybody's getting lots of quality time these days. Oops. Well, as this is, mildly entertaining and also, a lot of times mildly awkward, I'm just going to not transition well at all and just hand you right over to Melanie. She's got some fantastic questions for you.
You're just phoning it in today, Joanna. I'm not sure if we should even continue with this recording. Okay, so we're going to try. We're going to rally. We're going to keep getting back on the yoga mat and keep engaging in this practice. It's a thing. It's a thing. I think it is worth noting, fun fact, that Lori is actually just down the street from me. We are living in the same neighborhood. And so I do occasionally sort of run into Lori from the other side of the street as we walk the dogs or chase kids or whatever. So yeah, just a fun fact there. Lori, here's the question for you. What are you snacking on these days? We find that people really, have a lot of intention around their practice of snacking and that it makes their workday a lot better. Are there a lot of snacks available in your house, or do all those kids and that husband and the dog sort of take all the snacks away from you? What's the atmosphere like?
I think the atmosphere is like, the better question is, what am I not snacking on would be easier for me to answer. The definition of snacking has changed in our house to now they're called meals. So if you had a lot of good snacks, then maybe you don't need to have dinner tonight. So snacking on lots of sweets. That seems to be, I dread our next visit to the dentist after this.
I think that's probably true in a lot of households these days. It may even be true for me. I've been eating a lot of sugary things, but a spoonful of sugar, you know what they say. I mean, it can't be all bad. I mean, science has proven that it is all bad, but I'm going to pretend that psychologically that's not happening. So, okay, lots of sugary snacks. We have heard from quite a few people that it's a better question would be, what am I not snacking on? Because I'm snacking on everything in sight because it's there, and why wouldn't I? Is that different from how you operate when you're like going into the office every day?
Yes. I've never even talked about snacking at the office. I've never even used that word, like as far as let me bring a snack. So yes, because I've never even thought about snacking at the office. There's no time or there's really no need because I'm just going and talking. Yeah, it's very different.
Good to know. The pandemic is just changing everything for us. So what or whom do you not miss while teleworking? What or whom do you not miss from the office while you're at home teleworking? And I love the shocked expression on your face right now. You're like, I can't believe she went there. Yeah, I did. Just go with it.
The whom, the what?
Keep in mind, everybody, Lori is a social worker, so she's probably like dancing around a lot of different answers in her head right now, trying to pick the most like person-centered appropriate one and all of that nonsense.
Yes, the strength-based, politically correct answer, who and what. I'll start with what. What don't I miss? I do not miss my 8 a.m.s. So getting up and I had a lot of them in the spring, so they got cut short. So, and I do not miss, our office was always freezing. So I do not miss trying to figure out how to pack extra layers for when I step into my actual office. Whom do I miss? Whom do I miss? That is a great question. I can say this honestly, I do miss our faculty. There's really no one on our faculty that I generally could say that I don't miss. That's fair. I feel like if I'm going to throw anyone on the bus, I'm not going to do faculty. It's going to be students. But for the most part, I don't really, I miss it all. I miss it all. But I enjoy the break. So does that make sense?
I think we're adult enough and developed enough cognitively that we can hold those two disparate ideas. On the one hand, like, no, there are definitely things I don't miss. But on the other hand, we can also just say that we miss the whole collective experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
By the way, you are the first person to take the bait. The question was actually what or whom, and you went with what and whom. And I just let you go with it because I'm evil.
Oh, you couldn't stop me after the what? You made me keep going with that.
You seem very interested and very like engaged in finding the answer.
I mean, this is like adult conversation and it's kind of social and fun. So I'm just, jumping in.
It's mild entertainment, nobody's going to get offended by this. We have maybe 2.5 listeners at this point. I have a feeling our listenership is dropping the longer we do this instead of increasing. We're not sure.
After this podcast, your numbers are going to double after this podcast, just so you know. Be prepared. You may have a sponsor by the next one. So just...
We never know. We're trying actively to get Snack Crate to sponsor us. We've mentioned them 3 episodes in a row now, so who knows? Okay, so keeping in mind with this, like working from home, the changes in your life since you started working from home, can you think about one thing that has improved personally and one thing that has improved professionally now that you're working in the work from home environment?
Was that 2 questions or 1? Do I get to pick? I'm clarifying now.
You can say whatever you want, Lori. Approach it however you just go.
Can you tell I'm lacking structure? Because I'm like, give me structure. What do I say? So why don't we say it again, Melanie, so I can think again while you repeat the question. This is me buying a little more time.
Fair enough. So what have you learned while working from home? And is there anything that has improved personally or professionally for you since you began working from home?
Okay, I know what popped in my head right away is how much I truly miss human interaction when it comes to meetings and talking with people in a professional manner, how much I rely on their physical presence and reading their nonverbal cues, and gauging their energy and their vibes and working with them based off just responding to everything they're not saying. So I didn't realize how much I counted on that professionally when I'm talking and working with people. Because there's a lot of guessing game that goes on when you're on these Zoom things. And I realized you could go down the wrong road, down a little bit of a rabbit hole in that guessing game of what are they thinking? What are they saying? What does that mean? They're not looking in the camera versus I just never realized how much I relied on that, kind of taking in someone's nonverbals and their energy and how I communicate professionally with them. I hope that made sense.
I think that makes perfect sense. We've certainly all been in different Zoom trainings and Zoom meetings. And I know that I personally have like the Zoom mask that I put on where I'm like, I'm actively paying attention to. I may or may not be doing things like below the camera that on, typing and doing all kinds of things, but I'm making it seem like I am really paying attention and invested in what you're doing. By the way, if anybody's listening to this and I've been in a meeting with you, I'm sure I was definitely paying attention. I wonder how much of that is based on your social work background and how much you work directly with individuals and you're just used to getting all that information. So it's interesting that you've learned that about yourself during this time, that like your profession really, really does depend on being in person. And I mean, that's why we use our video to record these podcasts whenever possible, because it's really hard to have 3 people all talking or having the opportunity to engage at the same time without those visual cues. Yeah. So here's a good one. Now that we're talking about Zoom, What are your pet
Yeah.
peeves on Zoom? Now, again, you probably have the opportunity here to call out individuals. Lori, I'm not saying that you have to do that. You don't have to take that bait. You can just generally speak to pet peeves on Zoom, and we're here to commiserate with you on those. We probably share.
Oh my God. I was just having this conversation with my kids, and I was venting on my pet peeve with Zoom. And it's so funny you asked me that, because I had a great vent session and they weren't understanding why it was a pet peeve. Oh gosh. Okay, so here's my pet peeve. And I can say it because neither one of you are doing it right now. But I do not get the green screen fake background and the head bobbling around, and like it's never clear, it's fuzzy. And I'm like, do you want me to believe you're at the ocean and then treat you as if you're at the ocean? Do you want me to treat you as if you're in Paris and we need to talk? I don't understand it. And like my friends use it, colleagues use it, and I do not get it. Maybe it's because I don't have a green screen and I can't do it, so I'm jealous, but I don't get it. I don't get it. And I was venting with my kids and they're like, Mom, you really don't like that thing. And I'm like, I guess that's just my one thing to pick on while I'm in a Zoom meeting.
That's a good one. We haven't actually had anybody else share that one yet, but I am with you. Like their heads are just sort of like discombobulated. They're bobbing around in the back end. I'm like, am I supposed to be following?
Does it look real?
It doesn't look real.
No.
Joanna is actually able to do green screen. I'm not. My background is a dark purple in my office, so I can't do a green screen. But Joanna can actually put up a picture of the military resource lounge. And so it looks like she's just like sitting in the middle of the lounge. And it's super, there she goes. Yep, we're at that.
It is. Where are you? Where are you? You're at
She's at UNCW in the military resource lounge. So we can talk to her as though she's there, right? Except she's not. She's in her home office.
But I know you're not. I know you're not.
Except it did sort of look like she teleported herself there, which is going to be a whole other discussion on this podcast. It's going to go way beyond mild entertainment, and we're not here for that. Yeah, but no, why would you put yourself in Paris or something? Like, we know where you actually are.
And it's not in Paris having a baguette. I know you're at home with your kids and you're probably frustrated. Like, don't fool me. Be honest. I'm right here on my porch.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Well, or it's kind of like if somebody were to wear like full business professional attire when you know they're just sitting around their house. Like, okay, sometimes you might have a high level meeting, but most of the time we're going to be okay with each other in t-shirts. It's going to be okay. Yeah. All right. Thank you for sharing your pet peeves on Zoom. I love that you were using your household coworkers to do some venting. We believe that is very, very healthy these days.
They did not validate me, but they listened. So that's fine.
That's step one. Well, now do you feel validated now?
Yes, but Joanna, I did love yours. So yours wasn't as blurry. So you wouldn't be included in my pet peeve. Does that save me a little bit?
We're pretty impossible to offend on this show, so I don't spare Joanna's feelings. It's fine.
Okay.
I have one last question for you, and this one has been kind of triggering for some people. So if you're not comfortable answering it, that's fine. I'll just send you back to Joanna. It's okay. If you had to telework for the rest of your career, what would be the most important things for you?
Oh, good internet connection.
Number one.
I would have to incorporate some type of structured workout plan, because the sitting all day, the strain on the physical impact of being on my computer all day, and I find that and increase my boundaries, because you have a hard time not cutting things off when you leave campus, but now that campus is in your house, you have 24/7 access to work on campus. So it would be better internet connection, incorporate more of a daily physical workout routine, and increase my boundaries.
I love that three-pronged answer to that question. And I think that's probably true for pretty much everybody who would contemplate shifting into telework for a very long time. We would all need to keep those things in mind. Well, thank you for your thoughtful reflection on your current practice of telework. I just love throwing social work terms out like I know what they mean. It's now I'm going to do the awkward handover. Joanna, here you go.
Oh, yours are so much less awkward than mine are. I'm very, I'm working on it. I'm working on it. Lori, I want to know if you are seeing any trends in the social work field surrounding the pandemic, any new fields of study.
Well, I do a lot of, I'm part of a social worker in sports. So I'm a part of a committee that it's a national committee that works with social workers who work specifically with athletes and in the sports world. And we've been doing a lot of talks and discussions on the impact this has on athletes. And so if you think of anywhere from youth to professional, so at different ages, the impact is pretty big. I know from the youth perspective, I have 3 kids who are all involved in youth sports. And 1, the physical component that's been taken out of their life. 2, the social component with that. 3, the kind of halt it kind of would have on a kid's kind of progression as they're trying to get better in a sport. So those 3 things, and then the huge loss of money for that business. So the hit they're going to take. So that would, and then at the college level, there's tons of factors we're seeing, a lot of depression, anxiety, students that relied on, the college services for food, housing, and now they're kind of left on their own. So dealing with a lot of classism, racism that kind of go in with that as well. And then at the professional level too, the impact. So that's been something really interesting that I didn't think too much about, but because that I can see that locally, statewide, nationally, and globally, the impact that's having. And that's just one tiny area of social work that I've kind of watched and kind of been a part of trying to figure out how to support that population.
Wow, that's really thought-provoking. That's way more than mildly entertaining. I never thought about that.
Did I get too deep?
No, that's pretty interesting. I have 3 kids as well. And so watching that internally in my house, but I never thought about those students who are maybe, looking at scholarships and food and all those things. I'm glad you're working on it. Let's just say that. I'm glad that you're on the case for sure. How are the field worker internships placements going for our social work students?
Oh gosh, it was interesting. I was talking with my colleague Angie, the director of field with the School of Social Work, and she was saying things feel a little calm right now. And I was like, we need to enjoy this calm right now because this last year was intense with field placements. And then what's going to happen in a couple months when we go back, it's been very intense because, part of the work we do is all about relationships and communication and working with I always say it's kind of like we're in car salesmen because we're trying to take an intern. And right now we see these agencies, just surviving, trying to meet their budgets and struggle to stay open and serve and then we come in and say, hey, do you want an intern when you're and it's not like we have the option to say, no, we're going to hold off on interns. They need the internships to graduate and to get their degree. So that's been, for me, the hardest part is knowing that these agencies are struggling. And so we've been trying to figure out how can we support them and give them an intern. So it's not just say you want an intern, but what services might you need, or that's been the most challenging because Wilmington's small. So there's not we don't have a plethora of placements. So the ones we have, we just have to find ways to support them.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's got to be super tough. I mean, it's hard for, people who are practicing, who've been doing it for years to continue to function. So, wow, that's crazy. And the beautiful new, building that's opening up and you can't access that. That's tough. I think there's so many wonderful things going on with that building. So, What do you think the best thing about the School of Social Work is?
I would say our director and our faculty. I didn't until I guess everyone's biased about their own kind of team but once I started going out and doing more things around the college, I realized the way we communicated, the way we supported each other, the way I just thought all faculty did that. And I realized that they didn't. And so I gained a whole new appreciation of, and I guess maybe that's because we're social workers. So we're trained to collaborate and support and find strengths and find ways to help each other out. So I guess that may be a main part of it.
That's amazing. I just want to thank you so much for coming on today, Lori. And I'm looking forward to being able to maybe meet some of those wonderful people when the new building opens up and we all get back to campus. And just really appreciated getting to know you a little bit better too.
Thank you. This has been fun, and I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Thoroughly means it was maybe more than mild, but we'll accept it for today. Also, listeners, I would like to just share that while Lori's pet peeve about Zoom is having people bobbing around on their fake Zoom backgrounds, she's been recording this from her porch swing and has been rocking back and forth with her laptop the entire time. So, Lori, I'm afraid you are participating in your own pet peeve right now.
Oh my God.
I just had to call that out because we're neighbors and we're friends, and this is mild entertainment.
I'm not going to wave to you when you walk by my house today. I'm not waving to you. That's it.
Okay. It doesn't really hurt my feelings. I'll wave to you anyway. How's that?
I'll wave to Calvin, not you. I'm waving to Calvin, not you.
Okay, I mean that's probably fair. It's impossible not to wave to him or to wave back at him when you actually get him to wave. So we'll end on that. This has been an episode of Mildly Entertaining, and we will see you on the internet.
Thank you for listening to Mildly Entertaining. Our intro music comes from the band Blue Turnip and their song What Do You Want From Me? You can find their EP Songs from the Root Cellar on Bandcamp, iTunes, Amazon, and Spotify. For more information, you can go to blueturnipmusic.com.